What if the key to unlocking your greatest success wasn't in chasing more for yourself, but in giving more to others? Imagine a life where every time you add value to someone else, you multiply the value in your own. Tonight, I want to share with you why the fastest path to fulfillment, influence, and true success begins the moment you decide to serve with value. Within you lies a power so immense and untapped that it could transform every area of your life, if only you chose to recognize it. Most people go through their days unaware of the extraordinary potential resting inside them. They wake up, follow routines, handle responsibilities, and settle for what life presents, never realizing they carry within themselves the seeds of greatness. This inner power is not something that must be acquired from outside sources. It is not granted by circumstances, nor is it dependent on luck or the approval of others. It already exists within you, waiting for acknowledgement and deliberate use. The tragedy is not that people lack potential, but that they fail to recognize and cultivate what they already possess. This hidden strength is the creative force of your own mind, the ability to think, to imagine, to plan, and to act with determination. Every invention, every work of art, every enterprise that shaped the world began as a simple idea in the mind of an individual who believed in that idea enough to bring it to life. The same capacity exists within you, ready to be awakened the moment you decide to honor it. Potential is not reserved for a chosen few. It is the birthright of every human being. What separates those who achieve greatness from those who live in mediocrity is not the amount of talent they were born with, but their willingness to recognize their inner power and act upon it. When you understand that you are not limited by your current circumstances, but only by your perception of yourself, everything changes. You begin to see challenges not as barriers, but as opportunities to bring forth the strength hidden within. Life responds differently to a person who knows their worth, because such a person moves with confidence, makes decisions with clarity, and persists with determination. Recognizing your inner power gives you the courage to attempt what others call impossible. It allows you to push beyond fears, doubts, and limitations, because you know the source of strength you carry cannot be exhausted. This power within you is not measured by physical strength or material possessions, but by the resilience of your spirit and the capacity of your mind. It is the power to create new ideas, to transform failure into learning, to endure hardships, and to rise each time life knocks you down. It is the power to dream boldly, to set goals, and to pursue them with passion until they are achieved. When you choose to acknowledge this truth, you stop comparing yourself to others, because you understand that your value does not come from competing with them, but from discovering the unique potential only you can offer the world. Most people underestimate themselves, allowing fear and doubt to dictate the size of their dreams. They look outside for validation, for permission, or for someone to assure them they are capable. Yet, the only permission required has always been their own. The moment you recognize the greatness within you, you stop waiting for the right conditions and start creating them. This recognition is the first step toward unlocking everything you are capable of becoming. The image you hold of yourself is the blueprint upon which your entire life is built. Long before others see you as strong, capable, or worthy, you must first see yourself that way. Self-image acts like a silent architect, shaping your thoughts, guiding your actions, and determining the results you experience. Every belief you hold about yourself, whether empowering or limiting, becomes a lens through which you interpret the world. If that lens is clouded with doubt, insecurity, or feelings of unworthiness, then every opportunity will appear out of reach and every challenge will feel overwhelming. But if that lens is clear, filled with confidence, faith, and certainty in your abilities, then the very same circumstances will be viewed as stepping stones to progress. The truth is that you cannot consistently act in a way that is out of alignment with the way you see yourself. If deep down you view yourself as someone destined to struggle, your subconscious mind will find ways to make that story true. If you see yourself as unworthy of success, you will unconsciously sabotage opportunities that could lead you forward. The opposite is also true. When you cultivate an inner picture of yourself as resourceful, capable, and deserving of success, your mind begins to search for and create the evidence to support that belief. Suddenly, doors that were once invisible begin to appear, because you have trained yourself to recognize them. This is why two people can face the same challenge, yet one is crushed by it while the other is propelled forward. The difference is not the challenge itself, but the identity each person carries into the moment. Self-image becomes the filter through which you either limit or expand your potential. It is not arrogant to believe in yourself, it is necessary. Belief is the soil in which achievement grows, and the way you see yourself determines whether that soil is barren or fertile. Consider how often people allow past failures, mistakes, or the opinions of others to write the script of their identity. They let a single setback convince them they are incapable, or a harsh word from someone else make them feel small. But those moments do not define who you are. They are experiences, not permanent truths. The only permanent truth is the one you decide to believe about yourself, and that decision shapes the trajectory of your life. The image you hold within dictates the level of goals you set, the risks you are willing to take, and the resilience you display in the face of obstacles. A person with a low self-image will shrink their dreams to fit their doubts, while a person with a strong self-image will stretch their efforts to match their vision. One lives confined by fear, the other liberated by belief. The difference is not found in talent or opportunity, but in the picture painted in the mind. When you choose to see yourself as capable, worthy, and destined for more, you align your life with that vision, and the actions you take will naturally move you closer to it. Believing in your worth is the foundation upon which every achievement is built. Without a deep conviction that you are valuable and capable, even the best opportunities will slip through your hands because doubt will always whisper louder than possibility. Many people spend their lives waiting for someone else to validate them, searching for approval from society, from family, from colleagues, or from strangers, only to feel empty when it is given. True belief in your worth does not come from the outside, it is a decision made within. The moment you recognize that your value is not dependent on what others say or think, but is already yours by nature, you begin to unlock a strength that cannot be shaken by circumstances. When you believe in your worth, you stop lowering your standards to fit into places where you are not appreciated. You stop chasing acceptance and instead start attracting respect. This inner certainty transforms the way you carry yourself, the choices you make, and the goals you pursue. People who understand their worth do not waste time on things that diminish them. They pour their energy into pursuits that align with their vision and values. They speak with conviction, act with courage, and walk with confidence, because they know they belong wherever their potential can flourish. Belief in your worth also changes how you respond to failure. Those who doubt themselves see failure as confirmation of their inadequacy, but those who trust in their value see failure as a lesson, a necessary part of growth. They know a setback does not reduce their worth, but instead sharpens their skills and strengthens their resolve. This mindset allows them to rise again and again, while others remain defeated. Every great achievement is built upon a foundation of self-belief that refuses to crumble under pressure. The world often reflects back the way you see yourself. If you believe you are undeserving, people will treat you as such, not because it is the truth, but because you have allowed them to. If you believe you are valuable, opportunities begin to gravitate toward you, and people respond to the energy of confidence you project. Belief in your worth sets the tone for how others engage with you, because it communicates silently through your posture, your words, and your actions. Many people struggle with this because they have been conditioned to measure their value by external markers: money, status, appearance, or approval. But these are temporary and fragile. Real self-worth comes from within and remains steady regardless of changes in circumstances. It is not about arrogance or superiority, but about understanding that you were created with purpose, with gifts, and with potential that no one else can replicate. Believing in your worth is choosing to honor that truth, to stop diminishing yourself, and to claim the space you are meant to occupy in this world. This inner belief becomes the driving force that moves you past fear, keeps you focused on your goals, and empowers you to create the life you were designed to live. Clarity of vision creates results because it gives direction, energy, and meaning to every action you take. Without a clear vision, life becomes a series of random events where you drift from one circumstance to another, reacting instead of leading. A person without vision is like a ship at sea without a compass, carried by the current and at the mercy of the winds. But when you establish a definite vision for your life, you suddenly gain the power to guide your course with purpose, to move forward with intention rather than by chance. Clarity eliminates confusion, and once confusion is gone, progress begins. A clear vision acts as a mental blueprint, an inner picture of the life you want to create. When you can see it in your mind with vivid detail, your thoughts, decisions, and actions naturally begin to align with that picture. Instead of wasting time on things that have no value, you prioritize what brings you closer to your goal. You develop discipline to say no to distractions because you are focused on something greater. Clarity simplifies choices. You no longer have to guess what is important, because your vision defines it for you. Every step you take is measured against that vision, and if it does not serve the purpose, it does not deserve your energy. Energy flows where attention goes. A scattered mind produces scattered results, but a focused mind produces extraordinary ones. When you hold a clear vision, your mind begins to operate like a laser, channeling its full energy into a single direction. This focus accelerates progress because all your efforts are concentrated rather than divided. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They try to chase too many things at once, never giving themselves fully to one purpose. A clear vision prevents this waste of energy by providing a single point of concentration, and from that concentration comes momentum. Clarity of vision also ignites passion. When you know exactly what you are working toward, your efforts are filled with meaning. Tasks that once felt like burdens become part of a larger purpose, and even challenges become easier to face because they are connected to something that excites you. Passion is the fuel that keeps you moving when obstacles appear, and nothing generates passion like knowing you are on the path to something that matters deeply to you. Without vision, motivation fades quickly, but with vision, motivation renews itself daily because you can see the destination in your mind. Another power of clarity is that it creates resilience. A person with a strong vision does not give up easily, because setbacks are seen as temporary detours rather than permanent defeats. They have a mental picture of the end result so clear that no obstacle can erase it. This is why visionaries throughout history achieved what seemed impossible. Their clarity of vision was stronger than doubt, criticism, or failure. They knew where they were going, and that certainty gave them the strength to persist long after others quit. When your vision is clear, your willpower becomes stronger than your fear. Vision also attracts resources and people. When you know what you want, and you express it with confidence, others are drawn to help you. Opportunities that seemed invisible before begin to appear because your mind is actively searching for them. You recognize connections, ideas, and solutions that were always around you but unnoticed when your vision was unclear. Life has a way of rewarding clarity, because clarity leads to consistent action, and consistent action leads to results that compound over time. It is not enough, however, to hold a vague or general vision. Saying "I want success" or "I want happiness" is not clarity. True clarity means being specific, detailed, and vivid. What does success look like to you? How will you know when you have reached it? What do you want to contribute, experience, and create? The sharper the picture in your mind, the stronger the pull it will have on your daily actions. When your vision is clear enough, it becomes like a magnet, drawing you forward even in moments when motivation is low. Every great achievement begins twice, first in the mind and then in reality. The clearer the mental picture, the faster and more accurately it is reproduced in your life. If you wish to create results that are meaningful and lasting, you must first create a vision that is precise and unwavering. When you wake up every day with a clear sense of what you are moving toward, you waste less time, you act with confidence, and you approach challenges with determination. Clarity turns dreams into goals, goals into plans, and plans into results. Persistence defines you because it reveals the depth of your commitment and the strength of your character. Talent may open doors and opportunity may provide the stage, but persistence is what ensures that you keep moving when the journey becomes difficult. Every meaningful goal comes with obstacles, delays, and disappointments. These are not signs that you are on the wrong path, but rather tests that measure how much you are willing to endure for the vision you claim to want. Many people begin with enthusiasm but abandon their efforts at the first sign of resistance. They confuse temporary setbacks with permanent failure, never realizing that success often hides just beyond the point where most people quit. Persistence is the bridge that carries you across that gap, and without it, even the brightest dreams remain unfulfilled. To persist is to refuse to be defeated by circumstances. It is the decision to rise after every fall, to stand again after every disappointment, and to continue forward even when progress feels invisible. Persistence transforms obstacles into stepping stones by using each challenge as a lesson that strengthens the will. Every time you choose to persist, you prove to yourself that you are greater than the difficulty you face. This repeated act of resilience builds confidence, because you learn that setbacks do not have the power to stop you unless you allow them to. Persistence is not about avoiding failure, but about mastering it. Failure becomes fuel when you refuse to surrender, and that fuel powers you further than talent or luck ever could. Persistence also reshapes your relationship with time. Many people fail to achieve what they desire because they expect instant results. They plant seeds and then abandon the field when the harvest does not appear overnight. But persistence understands that growth takes time, that every effort is a deposit in the bank of success, and that compound results emerge only through consistent action. Just as a stone is worn smooth by the steady flow of water, great goals are accomplished by repeated effort. The daily decision to keep working, keep improving, and keep believing builds a momentum that cannot be stopped. Even the slowest progress, when sustained with persistence, will eventually surpass the quickest bursts of effort that end too soon. Another power of persistence is the way it silences doubt. In the beginning, doubt is loud. It tells you that you cannot succeed, that you do not have what it takes, that the task is too big or the risk too high. But every act of persistence weakens doubt's voice. Each time you push through fear, your confidence grows, and as your confidence grows, doubt diminishes. Eventually, persistence rewires your mind to see challenges not as threats but as opportunities to prove your strength. This mental shift is what separates those who achieve from those who dream but never act. Persistence also builds credibility. When others watch you endure, stay committed, and continue pushing forward despite setbacks, they begin to trust your determination. People are drawn to those who display unwavering dedication because persistence inspires respect. Opportunities often come to those who persist, not only because they create results, but also because their consistency proves they can be relied upon. The world rewards perseverance with doors that only open to those who have the patience and strength to keep knocking. Persistence is not about stubbornness for its own sake. It is about staying loyal to your vision when the journey is longer and harder than expected. It requires adaptability, because persistence does not mean repeating the same mistake over and over. It means adjusting your methods, learning from feedback, and continuing forward with greater wisdom each time. A persistent person is not blind to reality. They are simply unwilling to abandon their pursuit because of temporary difficulties. They understand that the road to success is rarely straight, and they accept detours and delays as part of the process without losing sight of the destination. Most importantly, persistence shapes identity. Each time you choose to keep going, you are writing a story about who you are. You are declaring to yourself and to the world that you are not someone who gives up easily. This identity becomes a source of inner strength, because once you see yourself as persistent, you begin to approach every challenge with a mindset of endurance. No setback feels final, no delay feels permanent, and no obstacle feels bigger than your determination. In the end, persistence is more than just a habit. It is the defining trait that separates those who wish from those who achieve, those who dream from those who live their dreams. No one can add to your value, and no one can take it away, because your worth is not something given by others. It is something that already exists within you. From the moment you were born, you carried within yourself an inherent value that does not depend on approval, validation, or recognition from the outside world. Yet many people spend their lives chasing acknowledgement, believing that their worth is tied to external symbols like wealth, status, appearance, or praise. This pursuit often leads to exhaustion because no matter how much approval they collect, it never feels permanent. The truth is that your value is not conditional. It is not earned through achievements or diminished by failures. It is an unchanging reality, and the only task you have is to recognize it and live in alignment with it. The danger of believing your worth depends on others is that it places your entire life in their hands. You become vulnerable to the shifting opinions, judgments, and expectations of people who often do not even know you deeply. If they praise you, you feel elevated. If they criticize you, you feel crushed. This constant fluctuation leaves you unstable, like a ship tossed by waves never finding peace. When you understand that your worth is independent of these external fluctuations, you reclaim your stability. You realize that no matter what others say or do, you remain valuable, capable, and deserving of respect. This realization is freeing because it allows you to live authentically without the fear of rejection or the desperate need for acceptance. Your value also cannot be diminished by mistakes or failures. Too often, people equate a failed attempt with a failed identity, telling themselves that because they stumbled, they are somehow less worthy. But mistakes are experiences, not definitions. They are opportunities to learn, refine, and grow, not verdicts on your character. The person who understands their inherent value does not collapse under the weight of failure, because they know that failure does not change who they are. It only changes what they know and what they can do differently next time. In fact, the ability to separate your worth from your outcomes gives you the courage to take risks and pursue bigger dreams, because you no longer fear that a setback will erase your value. In the same way, success does not add to your worth. Achievements may enhance your confidence, expand your influence, or increase your opportunities, but they do not make you more valuable than you already were. Believing that success increases your worth creates a dangerous cycle in which you constantly chase more, never satisfied, because your sense of value becomes dependent on what you achieve next. This is why many highly successful people feel empty despite their accomplishments. They have confused external results with internal worth. When you understand that your value is constant, success becomes a celebration of your effort and vision, not the measurement of your identity. Living with the awareness of your unchanging worth changes how you treat yourself. Instead of settling for less than you deserve, you begin to demand respect, not arrogantly but firmly, because you know your value is not negotiable. You no longer tolerate environments or relationships that diminish you, because you understand that staying in such places is a betrayal of your own worth. This awareness also shapes your decisions, because when you value yourself, you stop making choices that undermine your growth. You choose opportunities, relationships, and habits that honor your potential, because you know you are too valuable to waste your life on things that do not serve you. This inner recognition also transforms the way you interact with others. When you no longer need constant validation, you are free to give rather than constantly seeking to receive. You can support, uplift, and encourage others because their success does not threaten your worth, nor does their criticism weaken it. This creates healthier, stronger connections because they are based on mutual respect rather than dependency. The person who knows their worth does not compete with others to prove superiority. Instead, they collaborate because their identity is not fragile and does not need to be defended. It is important to understand that recognizing your worth is not arrogance. Arrogance comes from insecurity and the need to inflate oneself to feel valuable. True recognition of your worth is humble, because it acknowledges that you are valuable not because of what you do or what you own, but simply because of who you are. It is steady, not boastful. Confident, not conceited. It allows you to walk with quiet strength, knowing you have nothing to prove and nothing to fear. The world may not always reflect your value back to you. There will be people who overlook you, underestimate you, or dismiss you. There will be times when life seems to test you with hardships that make you question yourself. But none of these change your worth. Just as a diamond remains valuable even if it is buried in the dirt, your value remains untouched regardless of circumstances. The challenge is not to gain worth, but to recognize and live from the worth you already possess. When you embrace this truth, you stop playing small. You stop waiting for permission to pursue your dreams. You stop allowing other people's opinions to dictate your direction. You step into your potential with confidence, knowing that you are already enough, already worthy, already valuable. The world cannot add to your value, nor can it take it away. What the world can do is reflect the way you see yourself. So when you begin to live in full recognition of your worth, life begins to mirror that belief with opportunities, respect, and fulfillment. Deciding to value yourself activates change because it sets into motion a shift in both your mindset and your actions that begins to transform every area of your life. Many people wait for change to come from outside circumstances, believing that if they had better opportunities, more support, or a different environment, their lives would improve. Yet lasting change does not begin externally. It begins internally with the decision to recognize your own worth. The moment you decide you are valuable, your behavior begins to align with that belief. And as your behavior changes, so does the direction of your life. This is not a passive realization, but a powerful turning point, because once you acknowledge your worth, you no longer live as if you are powerless. You begin to claim authority over your choices, your time, and your future. Valuing yourself is the foundation of self-respect, and self-respect determines the standards you set. Before this decision, it is easy to tolerate disrespect, unhealthy relationships, wasted time, and choices that sabotage your growth. You may allow yourself to be undervalued because you have not fully recognized your own significance. But once you make the conscious decision to value yourself, you begin to raise your standards. You no longer accept treatment that diminishes you. You no longer settle for mediocrity in places where you are capable of excellence. You no longer use excuses to justify choices that keep you small. This change in standards begins to create a ripple effect that touches everything from the opportunities you pursue to the people you allow in your life. When you decide to value yourself, your confidence strengthens. Confidence is not built from external validation, but from internal recognition of your own worth. This confidence shapes the way you walk into a room, the way you speak, and the way you respond to challenges. People notice this shift even if they cannot fully explain it, and they respond differently to you because you carry yourself differently. The world mirrors back to you the image you project, and when you project self-value, it commands respect. This does not mean that everyone will admire or agree with you, but it means that you will no longer bend or break under the weight of disapproval. You will stand firm because your worth is not up for negotiation. Another profound change that comes from valuing yourself is clarity in decision-making. When you do not value yourself, it is easy to get lost in the expectations and opinions of others, making choices to please people rather than to fulfill your purpose. But when you truly recognize your worth, your decisions become guided by alignment with your vision and values. You stop asking, "Will others approve of me?" and start asking, "Does this honor my potential?" This clarity saves time, protects energy, and prevents regret because your life begins to move in a direction that is authentic rather than reactive. Deciding to value yourself also creates resilience. When you believe you are valuable, you stop interpreting setbacks as proof of inadequacy. Instead, you see them as temporary obstacles on a journey that you are worthy of continuing. This resilience is born from the conviction that your worth is not tied to outcomes, and because of that, you do not crumble under failure. You can face rejection, mistakes, and delays without losing faith in yourself. This resilience keeps you moving when others give up, and it becomes one of the greatest strengths you carry through life. Your relationships transform as well when you choose to value yourself. People who undervalue themselves often accept relationships where they are treated poorly, where their needs are dismissed, or where they are expected to give without receiving. This happens not because they deserve it, but because they have not demanded better. Once you decide to value yourself, you naturally begin to set boundaries. You no longer stay in environments that drain you, and you begin to attract people who respect you. Healthy relationships are built on mutual recognition of worth, and when you embody self-value, you invite that same recognition from others. This decision also fuels personal growth. When you believe in your worth, you invest in yourself. You read, learn, practice, and improve because you know you deserve the best version of life possible. You stop seeing growth as optional and start seeing it as essential, because you understand that honoring your worth means developing your potential. Without this belief, it is easy to neglect yourself, to live passively, and to hide your abilities. With it, you begin to push yourself, not out of insecurity, but out of the recognition that you are capable of more. Growth becomes a natural expression of valuing yourself. Perhaps the greatest transformation that comes from this decision is freedom. When you value yourself, you are no longer a prisoner to the opinions, judgments, or standards of others. You free yourself from comparison because you no longer measure your worth against someone else's life. You free yourself from fear of rejection because you know that rejection does not reduce your value. You free yourself from hesitation because you no longer need permission to pursue your goals. This freedom allows you to live with authenticity, confidence, and courage, knowing that you are already enough. Deciding to value yourself is not a single moment, but an ongoing choice. Every day you are faced with situations where you must either honor your worth or diminish it. Each time you choose the former, you strengthen the foundation of your life. That foundation becomes unshakable over time, and with it you build a life that reflects the truth of who you are. The act of valuing yourself is the spark that activates change, and once lit, it illuminates a path forward where your potential is no longer hidden, but expressed fully in the way you live, work, and dream. Commitment to growth means making a lifelong promise to yourself that you will not settle for less than what you are capable of becoming. Growth is not automatic. It requires deliberate effort, consistent learning, and the courage to step outside the comfort zone. Many people stop growing after reaching a certain level of comfort, believing that once they have achieved stability or some success, the journey is complete. But true fulfillment does not come from standing still. It comes from stretching, from constantly challenging yourself to rise higher, to learn more, and to refine your character. Commitment to growth is a decision to never let complacency rule your life, to see every day as an opportunity to become better than you were yesterday. When you make growth a priority, you begin to live with intention. Instead of drifting through life, you consciously choose activities, relationships, and goals that contribute to your development. You spend less time on meaningless distractions and more time on pursuits that expand your mind, strengthen your body, and deepen your spirit. This intentional living is what separates those who achieve lasting success from those who remain stuck in cycles of mediocrity. Growth requires direction, and commitment to growth ensures that you never lose sight of that direction, even when life becomes demanding. Commitment to growth also changes your relationship with failure. For many, failure feels like an ending, something to be feared or avoided. But when you are committed to growth, failure becomes a teacher. You begin to see mistakes not as proof of weakness, but as opportunities to gain wisdom. Every setback becomes a lesson in resilience, and every obstacle becomes a tool for shaping your character. This shift in perspective allows you to move through life with courage, because you are no longer paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. You know that even if you stumble, the experience will ultimately contribute to your growth. Another dimension of commitment to growth is discipline. Growth does not happen by accident, and it does not happen in moments of convenience. It requires sacrifice, effort, and consistency. A person who is committed to growth chooses daily habits that build progress over time. They read, study, practice, and seek improvement even when no one is watching. Discipline means saying no to immediate gratification in order to achieve long-term gain. It means staying focused when distractions arise and maintaining momentum when motivation fades. Commitment to growth is proven not in grand declarations, but in the quiet, consistent actions taken every day. Growth is also about embracing change. Life is in constant motion, and those who resist change eventually fall behind. Commitment to growth means developing the flexibility to adapt, to let go of outdated ways of thinking, and to evolve with new challenges. This adaptability is not weakness, it is strength, because it allows you to remain relevant and capable in a world that never stops moving. Instead of fearing change, the person committed to growth welcomes it as an opportunity to expand and discover new potential within themselves. Equally important is the role of curiosity. Growth thrives on curiosity, the desire to ask questions, to explore new ideas, and to never assume you know enough. A curious mind is always open to learning, always seeking truth, and always willing to challenge assumptions. Commitment to growth keeps curiosity alive because it prevents you from becoming rigid in your thinking. It encourages you to explore books, conversations, and experiences that broaden your perspective and deepen your understanding of the world. Commitment to growth also elevates the way you view relationships. You begin to seek out people who inspire, challenge, and support your development. You surround yourself with those who encourage your potential rather than limit it, because you recognize that growth is influenced by environment. At the same time, you become a source of growth for others. You share your knowledge, encourage their journeys, and contribute to their development. Growth is not a selfish pursuit. It is a ripple effect that impacts everyone around you when you commit to it fully. Perhaps one of the most profound outcomes of commitment to growth is the discovery of your true potential. Most people never come close to realizing what they are capable of because they stop pushing themselves too early. They accept limitations as permanent and settle for comfort over challenge. But when you are committed to growth, you refuse to accept limits without testing them. You continue striving, experimenting, and refining, and in doing so, you uncover abilities you never thought you had. Growth reveals hidden strength, untapped creativity, and resilience that only emerge under pressure. This commitment also ensures that your life is filled with purpose. Without growth, life becomes repetitive, stagnant, and empty. With growth, every day holds meaning because every day contributes to something greater. You begin to measure your life not by what you have accumulated, but by who you have become in the process. This shift brings lasting fulfillment because the pursuit of growth is endless. There is always more to learn, more to give, and more to achieve. To commit to growth is to promise yourself that you will not waste the gift of potential you were born with. It is to embrace discomfort as a sign of progress, to treat learning as a lifelong journey, and to see every moment as an opportunity for transformation. This commitment keeps you moving forward no matter where you start or what challenges you face, because growth is not about perfection but about consistent progress toward becoming the fullest version of yourself. Serving others with value is one of the highest expressions of personal growth and fulfillment because it shifts the focus from self-interest to contribution. Every individual holds within them unique talents, skills, and experiences that, when shared, can create positive change in the lives of others. The measure of true success is not only what you achieve for yourself, but what impact you create for those around you. When you serve with value, you step into a role that not only benefits others, but also enriches your own life in ways that material gain alone cannot. The act of giving becomes a cycle that strengthens relationships, builds trust, and creates opportunities that you could never have accessed otherwise. The principle of serving others begins with the recognition that every interaction is an opportunity to add value. It may be through a kind word, a helpful gesture, the sharing of knowledge, or the willingness to listen. Adding value does not always require money or grand resources. It requires intention. A person who is committed to serving others looks for ways to lift burdens, inspire hope, and leave people better than they found them. This attitude of service transforms ordinary moments into meaningful exchanges because people never forget how you made them feel. When you become a person who consistently adds value, you naturally attract goodwill, respect, and influence. Serving others with value also develops character. It requires humility because to truly serve, you must put aside ego and focus on the needs of others. This does not mean neglecting your own growth or well-being, but understanding that the path to fulfillment is through contribution, not selfishness. The act of serving teaches patience, compassion, and empathy. It broadens perspective, reminding you that success is not a solitary journey, but a collective one. When you lift others, you lift yourself, and when you help others achieve their potential, you simultaneously unlock more of your own. One of the most powerful outcomes of serving others is the trust it creates. Trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships, whether personal or professional, and it cannot be demanded, it must be earned. People trust those who show genuine care, who offer help without expecting immediate return, and who consistently demonstrate integrity in their actions. By serving others with value, you create a reputation that opens doors to opportunities that talent and ambition alone cannot secure. The world responds to those who give generously, because service reflects reliability, and reliability is a rare and sought-after trait. Serving others also requires creativity and awareness. To add value, you must understand what others need, which often means paying attention to details that others overlook. It means listening deeply, observing carefully, and putting effort into understanding the struggles and aspirations of the people around you. Service that is truly impactful does not come from assumption but from genuine awareness. This attentiveness not only makes your service more effective, but also strengthens your connections with people, because everyone desires to be seen, heard, and understood. When you serve with value, you also tap into the principle of reciprocity. While the goal of service should never be manipulation or forced return, the natural law of life is that what you give eventually comes back to you, often multiplied. When you contribute to the success and happiness of others, they become inclined to support you in your journey. This creates a network of goodwill that sustains you in times of need. Serving others is not about keeping score, it is about planting seeds of kindness and value that inevitably grow into opportunities, relationships, and blessings you could not have predicted. Another aspect of serving others is that it helps you discover deeper meaning in your own life. Accumulation of wealth, status, or recognition may bring temporary satisfaction, but they rarely provide lasting fulfillment. True fulfillment comes from knowing that your existence made a difference, that you left a mark of kindness and contribution that continues to ripple long after you are gone. Service provides purpose, and purpose fuels resilience. When challenges arise, the knowledge that your actions matter to others gives you strength to keep going. Serving others with value also fosters growth, because it forces you to continually improve yourself. To offer more value, you must become more valuable. This means investing in your own knowledge, skills, and personal development so that you can give from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Growth and service work hand in hand, each fueling the other. The more you grow, the more you can give, and the more you give, the more you grow. This cycle ensures that service is not a burden but a natural extension of becoming the best version of yourself. Ultimately, serving others with value creates a legacy. Material possessions may fade, achievements may be forgotten, but the impact you leave on people's lives endures. Every act of service, no matter how small, contributes to the shaping of a world where kindness and contribution are remembered far longer than titles or accolades. To serve others is to live in alignment with the highest calling of humanity, to make life better for those who share the journey with us. At the heart of true success lies the willingness to serve with value. When you give more than you take, when you focus on lifting others, you unlock a power within yourself that no obstacle can suppress and no setback can erase. Remember, your legacy will not be measured only by what you achieve, but by the lives you touch, the people you inspire, and the value you leave behind. Choose to serve, and in serving, you will discover the highest version of yourself.